Hey, man.
Hey, everybody. Sorry. How's it going? Let's do this.
We're going to do this. We were just talking about Shane's house, and Shane actually lives on Mount Crumpet. He really does. I was up there last Friday with him, and there's snow and ice everywhere.
JJ's girlfriend just said that, I guess she said that it reminds her of the Grinch.
She's like, I'm looking over Whoville.
and I'm the Grinch.
Yeah, you are.
PDQ&A today?
That part is actually true.
Yeah, let's do PDQ&A. So, I guess we can't answer, we'll take a drink. If we can't answer, we'll take a drink. It's win-win.
Yes.
Right?
Game on.
Let's do it.
All right, I'll start with a drink.
We made a game time decision moments ago. We just installed the beta 2 of Inventory 12, so yeah, hopefully there will be problems. This is nothing like a live beta test, so that you know. But then again, once again, it helped. All right, so we got. I guess we have quite a few questions, right? By the way, the second beta is out. You'll particularly like this if you. One of the cool features is if you guys use Deep Freeze Enterprise, then you'll be able to detect.
Yeah.
Well, if you use Deep Freeze, you'll be able to detect the Deep Freeze status. Mm-hmm. If you have Enterprise, then you can actually integrate the command in the command line. They offer a command line to thaw a machine before deployment and to reboot it into a frozen state and stuff. That's the Enterprise. But if you have Deep Freeze, Inventory is going to report the Deep Freeze version that you have, as well as the status of the workstations. So that's something cool.
So from there, you'll be able to create collections, and then you can deploy based on Deep Freeze status. Is that right?
Yeah. Just so you know, we'll cover this Deep Freeze is going to be stored. Notice I just clicked right here on my main collection. That takes you to the Preferences collection page, and you can add a column. And you'll see some Deep Freeze, the Deep Freeze product code, product version, and then the status. Status is probably the big one. If you want to know, is this machine in a frozen state or whatever. Of course, it's always like almost everything with Inventory. It's based off of the last scan. So let's do it. Yeah, let's do a question.
First question today from Stephen V. Yes, the very famous or infamous Stephen V. What's the best way to report on machines with failed deployments within a given date range? I'm looking to increase reporting to better handle failed deployments and don't see the deployments table as something I can query using SQL Report Builder in Inventory.
Well, you don't have to use the SQL Report Builder, but we'll show you that. And thank you for sending this question in.
Early.
Yeah,
Give us a
early.
little time to work.
You can go to, just so you know, once again, you can see this in a basic report, or I believe you can. You had your computer table. There is a table called deployment. And sorry, I'll send this window. Yeah, there's a table called deployment, and in the deployment you can see stuff like, most important in this case is your status, as well as your end time. That's there's actually a view we're looking at. It's called deployment. But if you're going to use SQL, the table, Stephen, is called PDQ deployments. And we do have, just threw this together this morning.
Little SQL report.
Yeah, here's a SQL report. So we got failed deployments. Here's failed deployments in the last 3 days. What you're going to be looking for, Stephen, messing with the date time function in SQLite. Let me just go to define report. And you can see we're just saying you mentioned SQL, so I'm not going to break this whole thing down, but notice I'm using the date time function, and this is saying when you run this from now, whenever the time that you run it, to minus 3 days. So this will show you any computer that failed a deployment in the last 3 days. There you go. And we just ran a test deployment before this. This computer doesn't really get used except for during webcasts, right? So if you wanted to say within a particular date range, not just now, then you would add kind of an extra clause and the extra
basically it's
and.
a between statement in SQL.
Yeah, you use between. You can see that right there. And see that highlight thing, dude.
Hold that guy right there, and then you go.
Yeah, so you do between, how do you clear that crap out?
Hold it down and hit
That I'll never ever learn that. So anyway, so now minus 3 days and date time now minus 1 day, and that just creates basically that
start and end time for you.
that 2 day window if you want to do that. But that's how you can do it from SQL. But you can do that from the basic report builder using the deployment table, and if in SQL it's PDQ deployments. Next question.
Next question. Dear Shane and Lex, our software deployment strategy is to schedule deployments to different OUs at different times and days. Hence, we end up having to duplicate scheduled jobs. However, when using the duplicate function in PDQ Deploy, it does not copy the packages. Is this deliberately set this way for precautionary reasons? Sincerely, Andre the Giant H.
Yes, it was. I guess in evolutionary terms, this could be referred to almost as an atavism. We saw this question come in, and yes, we do not. When you duplicate a schedule package, the package is not duplicated, and we did that because back in the day you could attach only one package to a schedule, and our thought was you're duplicating a schedule, you're not going to be saying I want to push the same package out to these same targets. So we save targets, we save triggers, just not the package. Well, now you can attach multiple packages to a schedule, and we just never really changed that. So
that was the logic behind that one.
yeah, we spoke with Adam. We'll probably end up changing that so that it will duplicate it, but we are anyway making major changes to schedules and auto deployments that will also, even if we don't change that, would make this much easier. But for right now, you'll still need to duplicate and then attach that package again.
Yep.
So I guess what you're saying is like you're going to push Java out to OUs for Australia, and then you want to push to different OUs in South Africa or something like that. And you want to do Java at both times.
You're like thinking globally. I'm thinking accounting gets it midday when you can really jack up their work. Hit development in the morning when they're doing their best work. Right?
Let's just in gun parlance, it's called spray and pray.
Ready, fire, aim.
Shoot from the head.
Ready, fire, aim. Yeah.
So what time do you deploy to Shane?
He doesn't deploy.
I wait till he's sitting in his office. I'm like, yeah, here it comes.
Yeah, this is where you throw the old Adam thing. If I wasn't such a wimp, I'd kick your. If I wasn't terrified of you, you'd be dead.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's it's by design, but we'll probably end up changing that.
I think next time I do that, I'm going to have a recorder outside your office so I can hear what you say.
It won't be podcast friendly. All right, let's go for it.
All right, dearest Shane and Lex, we are still using Windows XP. Say nothing. Say nothing.
Pause for a moment there.
We moved most of them into VMware Workstation Player driven VMs. Due to some issues with the bridge network, we had to switch the network mode to NAT. Unfortunately, we cannot use PDQ Inventory to scan these machines. Creating NAT rules could be possible. Is it possible to configure the PDQ Inventory scanner to use different ports to scan? Sincerely, Alex Zzz.
No.
But no,
obviously, we work with
Let's just go with no.
NAT is not necessarily the issue. The issue is we use SMB, and SMB has specified ports. We basically piggyback. This is how we get around not having an agent. We piggyback on file and printer sharing, and those particular ports are what we use. So that's what we do.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Oh, hang on.
Hold on, little
What do
technical
you want us to do?
difficulties.
Jumping
Here we
jacks?
go. Ready?
There we go.
Now we
Here we
go.
go. Drinking.
So are we gonna take a drink because
Kelly made a mistake.
Kelly made a mistake?
Drink for any reason.
Software glitch, guys.
No reason whatsoever.
Seriously. Next
Yeah.
question while you're drinking. Does installing the Adobe Flash for PPAPI automatically create a manual update for Pepper Flash environment, or are there settings that should be set? Jason A.
Hey, Jason. The answer is yes, and kind of in two parts. However, now once again, you're saying installing the Adobe Flash for PPAPI. That is a package that we have that is a separate installation from Adobe. This does not include the embedded PPAPI for Chrome.
Yeah.
So we're going to remove that from the equation. When you install Adobe Flash, there is a Windows task schedule that's created to update Flash. However, it still honors the MMS .ini file. Let me see if I can find that real quick. It should be in your System32. In System32 directory, under drivers etc, macromed, if we have macromed in here. I'm not sure if we have Flash. We don't have Flash.
No.
Well, there is an mms.ini. If you look at any of our Flash packages, we actually look for that. I'll just open up, now here's the PPAPI one. Notice we disable the auto update in MMS, not ini config, MMS config. We disable those updates. So you are going to have a task schedule created, but if you disable with MMS config, which we do,
the task honors it.
Then that task honors that, and it shouldn't get updated automatically. You could delete. That's actually one of the reasons why there are other packages where we do delete the task schedule for auto update. We haven't found that to be necessary for Flash because they honor this setting in MMS, and the less you delete, the better.
Yeah.
So, go out to macromed to Windows System 32 drivers etc macromed. Look for MMS config, and you'll see that there's a line in there for disabling auto update. As long as that's set, you should be good to go. And once again, that does not cover the embedded. The embedded. Look at last week's or 2 weeks ago. There's a webcast. I don't know, whenever it was. We discussed how you can disable the embedded Flash updates using registry setting and or the Chrome GPO.
GPO, yep.
Next question.
Whoa, that's a long one.
It's a novel from our friend from Germany, Timo S. We are currently in a huge PC replacement. Right now, I have a script that executes scanstate, USMT, on the old machine and copies the .mig file to any new PC where loadstate is executed. This is done within a VBS script that opens pop-up windows to receive the client names. Within Deploy, I could start the whole process on the target, but I need a way to give the commands to the target PC without editing the whole package. Is there a way to initiate a pop-up window in Deploy to receive the parameters?
No, not for your very specific question. And hello, Timo. No, there isn't a way to have that pop-up window. I've used user state migration. It's been a long time ago. One thing you might trying to think of how that works. But one thing you might want to do, and this is just throwing this out here, is if this is you said it's a VBS script, if you could pass, like in batch you could
you pass parameters with the
you can pass parameters, right? So you could well, actually you would do an install step. So we'll say that this is just a batch file. In your parameters, you could probably do something like this, like depending on what are the parameters you have, like %1. And that just takes the very first parameter past the batch file. You could have it, when it's run from that machine, echo the computer name, and that might be able to do it for you, because this is expecting a parameter, and that first parameter, if it's going to be the second parameter, it'd be %2. Sure. But that's the batch file. I'm not sure on VBS.
If his VBS script is running, right, can you run it interactive and as a local user so we can actually see that screen pop up?
If you're going to run VB script interactive, when you use the install step and see the VBS, we run C script, which is meant to be non-interactive.
Okay.
You would have to run W script, I believe, to have a window pop up, but. I could be wrong. I haven't.
Something you could try.
I haven't done VBS forever, but natively, no. There might be a way you can get that done just by having the parameters of that package expect a computer name, and then you don't have to change the package. You could just every time you run it specify a different computer name.
Yeah.
Our next question from Dougie Doug Fresh K. Is there an easy way to add or remove 64-bit ODBC user DSN sources within PDQ Deploy?
So I did a little research on this one before the webcast, so
I see Doug. You and research in the same sentence usually.
Good point.
I see Doug and I think of that, not your picture, Doug. I see the name Doug and I think of that Far Side cartoon that shows, the salesman standing outside the door or outside the gate, ready to go into a yard, but there's a beware of dog sign, but it says beware of Doug. And you see this tree, you see this guy, Doug, ostensibly partially behind the tree, getting ready to pounce. Beware of Doug.
Beware of Doug.
All right, I'm sorry.
Okay, so
what did you find?
Basically, I looked it up, and those are registry entries. Now, I made a 32-bit registry entry, and I can go find that, and obviously you can, add and remove that from, like, running a registry entry. To do that, deleting it.
Well, deleting it should be. So what you're talking about, and the key there is user DSN. So if I'm right, so I'm not sure if your research took you here.
I'm getting to that part, Mr. Interrupt Me.
Sorry.
So here's the thing with user DSNs: they're going to be stored with whatever user it was created at. So again, it can be done. You may want to run. This. Chris is going to love this. PowerShell thing would probably do the best.
If you're talking about the current user, you could run that package as a use the option to run as logged on user, and then in your registry you could do a delete. I think it's isn't it just software ODBC? Yeah, there it is, ODBC.
Yep, ODBC, and it'd be under ODBC.
But in this case, if you're doing current user, it'd be current user software.
ODBC, yeah.
If I'm right.
That's where
it looks like there's no ODBC set up here. 32-bit on a 64-bit would be WoW 64. Yeah. Look for if you should see your DSNs under the ODBC key. It's just and then go ahead and delete that. That should work. Once again though, like I said, if you're talking about users and you don't want to deal with the current user, you're going to have to traverse the H key user's key to delete those. And the best way to do that is through a recursive script. And of course, Chris would say use PowerShell, and it'd be a lot more intuitive than a batch. But yeah, it should be able to be done.
Okay, our next question is from Larry G., who, by the way, was the inspiration for the Ali G show. I am in the process of turning Windows 10 Fastboot off, as it is causing issues with the uptime counters and not doing a clean shutdown. Do you have a query that shows if this has been disabled?
I don't. In fact, I'd asked Annie about this, and Annie, she's going to kill me. I said, hey, do we know this? Because this question just came in this morning. And I guess there's an answer. Jordan, if you're watching, throw that answer out there, because I didn't get to it.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a way to find that. I personally dislike the fast boot. I know when I shut down my laptop for Windows 10, I actually, when I go to shutdown, I hit Shift shutdown so that it actually does a full shutdown. The problem with that, when you use the native shutdown, it actually doesn't shut down. It just effectively puts it to sleep. That doesn't modify the uptime, and I believe it doesn't kick off any startup GPOs. Anyway, Jordan, if you're out there, throw that answer out. I didn't get to it. I'm sorry. Take a drink.
Did we just phone a friend? Yeah. Is that what we did? I'm empty, man.
Didn't phone a friend. We passed the buck.
Passed the buck to Jordan.
Oh, looks like, okay, really quick. Jordan did throw it out there, yes. If you guys are on the chat, you can see the path out there to look whether that is enabled or not. Hi, Annie. She's going to just beat the crap out of me right now.
Yeah, you're dead after
Well, you gotta step in here and wag the finger.
I ask her a question, and then she gives me the answer, and then I don't look at it. Yeah, Jordan just threw it out there. Hi, Annie. Say hi.
Everybody.
I'm dead. If you think Lex can kick my ass, no.
I don't mess with Annie.
She can definitely kick
Nobody
my ass.
messes with Annie. I don't even sit in her chair. I don't even sit in her chair. I've wanted to, but...
I'm so in the doghouse.
Dear Shane and Lex, is it okay to run Spiceworks and PDQ Inventory from the same server? I noticed Spiceworks in the preferences, but have not linked either PDQ Inventory or Deploy to our Spiceworks server. Benefits? Sincerely, Timothy M.
Hi, Timothy.
I'll take that one.
Go for it.
Yes, you can run them on the same server.
But the next question. There are two question marks there. So, okay, yes. The answer is yes, and a lot of people do, in fact, do that.
Yeah.
But you can also run them on different servers.
Very true.
The PDQ Deploy can reference PDQ or can reference Spiceworks, even if it's on a different server. That's going to be in your preferences. I'm going to hit Control Comma to pull that up, and you'll see a Spiceworks. If it's on the same machine, you can just type in localhost, and that just says, yeah, it's on the same machine. Otherwise, just type in the server name or DNS name of that server, and then you can specify what port, whether to use SSL, etc., and your Spiceworks credentials.
Yeah.
But that's that integration happens between deploy to Spiceworks. This is so that you can choose targets for your deployments from the Spiceworks database. There isn't any data sharing or the ability to access Spiceworks from within inventory.
Inventory, yeah.
But to answer your question and to repeat what Lex said, yes, you can run them on the same server.
Dear Shane and Lex, is there a way for auto reports to only send when there is data in the report? For example, a report for servers that are low on disk space. If no servers meet the low disk space setting in the report would be blank. Any way to not send the report then? Same for tracking software upgrades. Sincerely, Madam.
I think this was actually a feature request that I think is being addressed. I'm not sure. I can't remember if it has yet. As the auto reports are kicked off, even if there's no data, then they're still set up. But I believe if it's in there or it's coming, there is a way to say if there's no data, there will be a way to say if there's no data, don't bother sending the report. But okay. Let's take a drink.
You're out.
I think it's forthcoming. No, I've got some more.
I started early, guys.
That's cool. Plus, you're driving right after this, so don't worry about it.
No, I'm Ubering, my friend. I'm Ubering.
Oh, then drink up, man.
Good point. Springbank, here I come.
Dear Shane and Lex, our PDQ inventory and deploy server needs access to an isolated network. Is there a comprehensive list of the ports we need to open for all features, including wake-on-LAN? Sincerely, Deuce X King.
A comprehensive list.
Like a one-stop shop for all of them?
On our support forums. I'm not going to find. Search for. The answer is I don't think we've included wake-on-LAN.
Yeah, search for firewall settings.
Yeah, search for firewall settings in our support forums, and you will see the list of ports that need to be opened. As far as wake-on-LAN, there's another document on using wake-on-LAN that lists those ports that are used.
You also have to have your BIOS set to respond to that kind of thing.
Yeah, wake-on-LAN always has those external dependencies. You have to have your BIOS or your UEFI set to enable it. And you also, in some cases, have to have your NIC settings in Windows set to allow it.
Yep.
So there's a couple of external dependencies there. Make a note, somebody out there. Let's combine the wake-on-LAN and the firewall, or at least those ports, so we can get that comprehensive list of the ports that you need.
Yeah. I'll drink to that.
Right now it's in 2 documents.
Now that I've got something, I'll drink to that.
There you go.
Here's a related question.
Yes. Next question from Chad B. Dear Shane and Lex, aside from enabling wake-on-LAN in the BIOS and disabling deep sleep, have you seen any good scripts to deploy to enable magic packets / wake-on-LAN in the NIC drivers?
Oh, going right back so you've got it in BIOS, but you might need the NIC. No, I haven't.
I've never even thought of that. That's a great
Doesn't mean that it cannot be done. Chances are it can. It is going to vary by the manufacturer because all the manufacturers will store their wake-on-LAN
information in different places.
areas.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, if it's stored in the registry or in WMI, there can be a script used. I actually years ago I did this with WinBatch, which is going bye-bye, by the way. The Windows interface language. I did this with WinBatch on a very specific driver set, and it worked. But it's per, it's going to be per NIC.
Yeah.
Or per NIC manufacturer.
Yeah.
Thanks. Lex keeps me honest.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I push your honesty to the limit, friend.
At least you're honest about that. And our next question
It's the
from
honest guy you got to be worried about.
Monica K.
Hey, Monica.
who's written us a novel. Here we go. I have a dynamic collection, application name, and publisher built around an app that is installed per user. My regular scan is scheduled for Sunday morning when the plant and offices are closed. Only about half of the computers with the app will show up in the collection every time as expected, but it takes running a separate application scan after the fact to pick up the rest. What could I do to those computers or the collection, fix this, and get them all to show up in the dynamic collection more reliably?
I just want to run a question back by you. Why don't you do it in the middle of the day and let everybody know you are the woman, as the case may be?
Well, this is one of the problems with, hi Monica, this is one of the problems with these per users, because we're primarily a machine-based inventory. When we scan the users, when we scan a computer, we do look to see if there's a user logged on. Then we'll scan that current user hive, and that's when you'll see some applications that are per user. But if that user logs off, then that will go away. The best way probably to do that would be to...
I'm sorry, was I right? Run it in the middle of the day?
Well, yeah, but even if they're not logged on in the middle of the day...
You're going to have that issue. That is true.
You might be able to get around that by using a registry scan.
Good point.
Because then you can traverse the HKey users key and hopefully find that information that you want. And then whether the user is logged on or not, you'll see that. Now, if 7 users that use the same PC and they all have it installed, then you would see that as
7 times.
In that registry. You wouldn't see this in the applications table or the applications page. You'd see it in the registry. You would see that application installed multiple times, just depending on the user.
All right, our final question of the day comes from Jack F. Could that mean Jack Frost? I know that's lame, but I'm just curious. Probably, with our weather today. To be able to deploy on off hours, I need wake-on-LAN. Is it possible to have a dynamic collection of computers with or without wake-on-LAN? I'm running enterprise version of both packages.
Well, hey, Jack. The answer is not as easy. It depends. It really does depend on the kind of computer you have. There are some computers that allow their BIOS or UEFI settings to be exposed, like through WMI. But you're going to have to check 2 different places. A, you're going to have to check the BIOS or UEFI, and then you're going to have to check the NIC. That would most likely be registry to show that, but that's going to vary. Hopefully you have all the same types of computers, and you could nail that down, but if you're talking about computers from different makes and models, it could get fairly hairy, unfortunately. So it's not as simple as, here's a flag for wake-on-LAN. No, it's based off of so many different factors.
Very true, very true.
You know, just so you go, remember, one of the reasons why we've modified wake-on-LAN so much is because not only do you probably have policies, corporate policies that prohibit wake-on-LAN broadcasts from going out. That's why we allow directed broadcasts, but a lot of your organizations also wouldn't allow directed broadcasts. We do behind the scenes. As long as you have the paid version, we will also go out to the last known subnet of a machine as part of a wake-on-LAN, whether it's from deploy or inventory. We'll find a machine on that subnet that's online and have that send out the broadcast as well. That way you get around any of those pesky router issues. If your network folks are like, nope, no directed broadcast at all whatsoever,
you sound like me.
We still have a way to get around that, but you still have to set that.
Yep.
And unfortunately, trying to find out which ones are set, not as simple.
Yep.
Cool. Well, hopefully we answered some of your questions. When the camera turns off, Annie's going to backflip in here like crouching tiger.
It's going to be like ninja
hidden
moves.
Dragon.
We're going to leave the camera running, just it won't be
Lex is just going to back up and laugh, see what actual humor is for once. Hey, if you guys have any suggestions for webcasts, you have questions that aren't just one-offers, but hey, I would like to know more about this, send those webcast suggestions to us. Oh yeah, I guess we're
looking for a PowerShell script or sysadmin with some vicious mad scripting skills.
Absolutely, we love the sysadmins. If you're watching this, you've probably used our products. That's always a plus. You can go out to our website. Is it adminarsenal.com/jobs or something?
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, go out there and find that. It is a position in Salt Lake City. We don't do remote, but we've had.
Besides, why would you want to work remote when you could work with us?
We've had quite a few people that have relocated here, and you only hear them weeping once a week or so. They love it. They love it. It's a good place.
That's usually when the scotch is empty. Oh no, that's me weeping. Yeah. So.
All right. Hey, thanks for watching, you guys. We'll talk to you later.
See y'all later.
Thanks for joining us today for PDQ&A. Big congratulations going out to Larry G. and Doug K., winners of PDQ swag. Send us your info at webcast@adminarsenal.com. And don't forget, yes, we are looking for that kick arse sysadmin position. You can find that as well on our website, adminarsenal.com/jobs. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week.